we will not be able to compete with those countries that have made tremendous progress. So therefore, my request is that our youngsters must say, this is my country. I want to work 70 hours a week, 70 hours a week, 70 hours a week.
Hi, you are watching SightsIn Plus and this is Bhavesh Agarwal. Please do subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates and conversation with the top plus CHROs. Today we are going to discuss about the 70 hours work week. That is a very trending topic as of now. And if we connect this recently, Mr. Narayana Murthy, who is founder of India's second largest IT company, that is Infosys, he made a remark about the 70 hours work week. And this remark went viral, and a debate around the work-life balance that is started among the industry leaders. Exactly, if I read the remark by the Mr. Narayana Murthy, so this is India's work productivity is one of the lowest in the world. Unless we improve our work productivity, we will not be able to compete with those countries that have made tremendous progress. So, therefore, my request is that our young adults must say, this is my country, I would like to work 70 hours a week. So, this is the complete statement by Mr. Murthy on 70 hours work week. There are also a couple of more statements by the industry leaders. A couple of industry leaders, they are supporting this statement, and there are also a couple of leaders, those who are against this statement. If I see one more statement by Mr. Bhavesh Agarwal, he is the CEO of Ola Cabs. He is in support of this statement. He said that totally I agree with Mr. Murthy's view. It's not our moment to work less and entertain ourselves. Rather, it is our moment to go all in and build in one generation what other countries have built over the many generations. One more statement I would like to take by Mr. Goenka. He is not in support of this statement of 70 hours work week. He said that 5-day work week is dead. Hybrid work is the present and future. Sachin Jindal is also not, he's endorsing the statement. He said that PM Modi works for 14 to 16 hours. So these are the couple of statements. And today we will discuss the subject with two senior HR leaders. Let me introduce Mr. Manish Kaur. He's head human resources at heavy engineering division of L&T. And Mr. Sriram S. is a chief happiness expert at Our Happiness Matters. So first, I would like to know from you both that what is your interpretation from this statement of Mr. Murthy?
I've personally worked with Murthy very long time ago, so I know him at first hand. So I know that, this whole statement has caused a lot of controversy, and I think it's good to always have a debate. It's not a bad thing. I think the whole question is, one is, I think the problem is with the number 70. That's where everybody is kind of thinking. If he had said 60, maybe there would have been less kind of controversy. But having said 70, I think that's what has caught everybody's attention, because it seems like a expectation which is so high that it may cause issues. Now, I think we have to go a little deeper, and if we listen to what he's saying, he's talking about productivity, and I think that everybody's forgotten. Everybody's talking about 70 well-being and things like that, but the key is, and according to research, that in India we have the least productivity, and that is true. The fact is that is a true input, and all attention needs to go there. Why are people not asking the question, saying, why is our productivity so low? Why is the research saying that we are so bad? That is where attention should go. If you go there, then I think many interesting things will get revealed. And I think that's where we are missing the point in terms of the debate itself, but it's an interesting debate for sure. And I do have a point of view, which is a little more, in the center rather than either supporting or not supporting it. And my thing is that the intent of personal productivity is bang on. And having been in HR and being a HR head for close to 15 years, I know for a fact that in India, that our output is not bad, but the amount of time we take to produce that output is much longer than what is required. And that is an issue that needs to be addressed. And why is that happening? It's because we are not able to manage ourselves properly at the workplace. The way we work, the way our minds are, the way we deal with entertainment, the way, we gossip about stuff, the politics, all of them are at play. And it is different. We are a different culture as well. We are an emotional culture, and hence that expression is kind of expected. But the fact is that, for the amount of time spent at work, what we produce is less. If all attention can go just into that and exploring, saying, how can we make that better? Then this whole, problem of 70 goes away. Whether it should be 70 or something else is a matter of debate. Okay, so that's the first perspective, that we must focus on the intent. Intent of what he said was improve productivity. That is a valid point. We must do it. And if we don't do it, we will lag behind. There's no doubt about it. But now we have a context, right, about 70 itself, saying, is it even a valid thing? Because the kind of references he gave were to countries which had come out of war and things like that. In India, people don't, feel that kind of a scenario right now. So even if I were to go and ask people to say, hey, kind of do more, that sentiment doesn't get passed on, because that's not there, especially with the younger generation, which is, growing up with more comforts, more information, more exposure to the West. Okay, if you go and tell them, hey, work for 70 hours, I think, that is certainly going to meet resistance. And that is one of the reasons why people are protesting, because, they don't like that idea. And I do endorse the fact that we have to look at life more holistically. We are at a stage where certainly as a country, we need to develop. There are more things that India has to do. And we have an opportunity. We have a good, intelligent and young population, which, but which needs to be guided, which needs to be inspired. I think the thing should be to inspire people to greatness, inspire people to do more, not literally tell them that you have to slog, but really inspire them to be creative, inspire them to go beyond their, kind of limitations. If we can do that, I think then that is what we really need at this point. I'll stop here.
And Minister, what is your interpretation about this statement?
I think while I fully agree with what Sriram has summarized in his point of view, I'll look at it a little differently. See, where Mr. Narayana Murthy is coming from is basically a wave that was there in Germany and Japan immediately after the World War II. And that was the time there was a collective sense of purpose in that country, which drove them to ensure that they rebuild themselves. And this was a sense which was inherent into the people at that point of time because of the anger and the destruction that they had seen, which had damaged their countries and their livelihood altogether. So the question is that, are we there? Can we bring that kind of inspirational leadership into the country to motivate people to involve themselves into that kind of a work week? That is one. And number two is that if not, yes, looking at the productivity, whether say in the current number of hours of work that they are putting in, whether they can get that productivity which will be equivalent to something maybe 70 hours or 60 hours, as we say. So that is the question. Yes, in some organizations, that is the scenario already. They have an enhanced productivity, and they have a scenario where perhaps they are already producing to that extent as far as manufacturing is concerned. but it is not very consistent across. There are examples, but it is not consistent. If we look at if we look at this kind of a scenario, and if there is that kind of a sense of purpose created at the national level, which is consistent across all the entire country, then in that case, there is a possibility to build a scenario where you have a 70-hour work week, and that people will be encouraged to work that way, and there will be a wave that will take it forward. So that is the consideration. Otherwise, what would happen is that it will work in pockets, and it will not be consistent across, and thereby what will happen is the philosophy or the situation that we are observing right now in terms of people talking about work-life balance, flexibility of work, and things like that, which is causing a differentiator, which is making a differentiator as far as employment choices are concerned for the young. So that will be in play. And those organizations which are trying to follow the ideology and bring it about forward, so they will get left behind. And that may not be a very encouraging situation. So otherwise, our experience is that as far as the work time is concerned, the youth are very much committed to provide their best productivity in those hours. But they are very clear that these are the working times and this is their personal time. And they like to work around that. And this particular suggestion may not go very well with them. As far as employers are concerned, so employers actually would be very happy with that kind of a scenario where you put in 70 hours work week. Because currently the local legislation in the country itself does not support it. Today the scenario is that we say 48 hours per week is what people can work, and with an extended 8 hours of overtime, so 56 hours is what they are allowed. And anything beyond that, you have to take a special permission from the government. So our legislation is not supportive there. So what will happen is that it could create a tendency amongst the unorganized sector for exploitation. And that is where another worry will come in. So these are various factors actually. So importantly, what will knit through this kind of a scenario would be the inspirational leadership only, and the motivation, and that itself urging the legislation to provide that kind of a flexibility and consistency all across. So that is my view. I wouldn't want to say that the statement is, I wouldn't rather dare to say that the statement is wrong or right. It's a point of view which comes from a senior leader and very much respected.
You have raised very important points. You have also talked about some statutory obligations which already we have here about the working hours. And is it comparing with the countries like China, that is a manufacturing hub where the working hours are around 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., around 12 hours, and that is the 6 days working. So is it the indication that if you want to be manufacturing hub here in India, you need to work hard, like China kind of countries, 12 hours a day?
It is accepted in some of the organizations already in India. If you talk about a couple of organizations in the electronic sector, they are already having 12 hours workday. And they have positioned their compensation accordingly to see that people are properly compensated for those extra hours also, and that they have accepted it as a regular terms and conditions of employment. So there, actually, the question arises that how come the people in those organizations are agreeing to working for so many hours? So it is there. Maybe people will accept also, but generally the new philosophy or the new scenario that we see from the current generation, what we call as Generation C, is that they are clear what they want, and they are very much focused on having their personal time, and we have to respect that and understand that. They are so much influenced with the social media, and there is a lot of peer pressure which guides them so much. And unless there is an overall environment which encourages um, them to put together themselves, because when we look at the word as such, what is their focus on development of the country? So if we were to explore that particular point, so perhaps the results may not be very encouraging. So that is also there. How many of them actually have an understanding of what our country has already gone through? And if we have to be there where the developed countries are there, then what will be the right way of taking that forward? So whether they really have any such thing in the agenda also, that is doubtful.
Shriram,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll go
Shriram,
first. I think I'm.
you want to add here
Yeah,
something? Yeah, please
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
I disagree with the idea of a 12-hour work day for sure, because what does that do? So 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. you're at work. You're going to do some little bit of transit time. So 1 hour goes in that. Okay. So 12, 13 hours are gone. You're going to sleep for maybe about 7 to 8 hours. Okay. 21 hours are gone. And you have 3 hours for your life. Okay. In which you have to do, other stuff. You have to eat, breakfast. You have to get ready and things like that. So that leaves you with maybe how much family time? 1 hour, right? Now, what is going to happen in that? You think, and with so much access to entertainment, to mobile phones and Facebook and all that, if you force people, what is going to happen? If they don't get that break, they are going to do less. You can ask them to stay as much as you want, but the point is they are not going to have the energy or the mind space to do that kind of productivity. That is the point. This is not about forcing people. This is about inspiration. And we know that we've had projects even in IT where there are people actually they have worked 70 hours, but because there is a deadline and they are committed to it, and there is a team that is thing, but it is for a limited period of time. So everybody knows that I pursue excellence, I want to deliver, there is a deadline for that, and it will end. In that scenario, people are also kind of enthused. Even there, if you stretch it too much, people get burnt out. But that is a scenario where it will work. Otherwise, expecting people to work 12-hour work days, at a stretch, I think, is certainly going to have detrimental effects. There is no doubt about it. You're going to have relationship issues, stress issues, well-being issues, and that's not good, because, we can look at this as a short term. But really what we are talking is a culture change. Culture change saying, see, if you go to government offices, we don't even believe that people are, kind of doing even close to just enough, right? They're not even doing just enough. So that is the, kind of situation that we are in. Now, in that situation, if you then go and tell people saying, hey, you have to work 70 hours, obviously there's a disconnect, right? So we need to change this. The idea is that all of us in our own ways can do more. We must be inspired. We must have a purpose, and we must do our bit. I think if we can go with that, then that's a good, kind of approach.
There is one more valid question as of now. Pre-pandemic, maybe it was not the focus area, the work-life balance, but during the pandemic period, all the industry leaders, everyone, they were talking about the work-life balance, they're talking about the well-being. And all of a sudden, once the pandemic is over, again, we are trying to discuss. And this is not only the statement by Mr. Murthy, there are also other business leaders, those who are supporting this statement. And this is around, you can say 60%, 40%, this kind of the ratio. How do you see the leadership seriousness on this work-life balance now? This is also a question mark.
Okay, so what the scenario that we are observing now is that there is attrition now in the industries happening. And when we look at the reasons for the attrition, so it is emerging that it is in the age group of 20 to 35 that you have the maximum attrition. If you dig deeper into that, the first one that comes up is expectations that the youth has. Second one that comes in is work-life balance. And so this is where the work-life balance has taken prominence in this, and everybody now is understanding that this is an important area on which we will have to focus. Well-being of the employee also is now coming to the fore, and it is not only the well-being of the employee but also the well-being of the family of the employee is another focus area. So already the policies and processes are moving towards supporting this. And even in the scenarios where it was thought a few years back that we cannot come up with such a thing in a manufacturing industry or in a such kind of an industry which involves physical presence into the factories and the offices necessarily to have them operational. So this mindset is changing. And actually, there is no other choice but to accommodate that in case you are looking at longevity of the talent in the organization and the people, those who can build you around for the future. So yes, it is being very much recognized, and within the purview of whatever we can do without creating minimum disturbance is what we are trying to put in place so that we are able to make the life of people much more enjoyable and livelihood and lively, and they can have not only hard work but also fun and work at joy.
And Shriram, how
So
do you
that
see
is-
the seriousness of leaders on work-life balance part?
Work-life balance is important, but work is also important. So what happens realistically with leaders is that when work is not done, that is the time when balance goes into a disruption. So it is not that there are a few people who are a little bit, kind of trying to push the teams all the time. But most people are not unduly trying to push the team, right? They are trying to get work done. So when work-life balance gets disrupted is when there is an issue with work delivery. Now, that could happen for several reasons. Could happen because the estimation was wrong. It could happen because the environment changed. It could happen because people are not doing enough, etc. But really, the thing is that it is not a single point solution as a thing. I believe leaders and managers' intent is not to get people to slog. Their intent is to get work done. Now, the problem is when work is not done and when people are, kind of struggling, that's where the thing is. Solution has to be to fix that, which is that how do we get work done while also living a good life? And I think that is, and that's exactly the place where, I've also been, thinking about a lot, and I started my work also on happiness, saying that you need to teach actually There are three things that we need to do. One is teach people happiness habits. Let them take ownership. Let them, kind of learn to become happier individuals as a thing. Second is teach teams productivity. Actually, there are so many things. You need to customize it and teach it to teams. Easily, you will get about a couple of hours extra. Very easily, without changing anything. No work-life balance, no nothing. Just teach people the right techniques and get them to make those into habits. Immediately, things will improve. Third is, of course, your human-centric human leadership behaviors. If, because when there is disruption of balance, if leaders can step in and explain to people saying what we are trying to do, then people don't complain about work-life balance at that time because they understand why it is being done. The issue is sometimes that we expect people to do, we don't communicate, we don't take care of them. Okay, it is like this. Sometimes you have to work harder. That is a reality. And sometimes you can take it easy. That's also a reality. But in all of this, you have to balance your life as well. And that's also kind of important. When we are able to give, both sides have to come to play. The individual has to recognize that sometimes work-life balance will be compromised. And the leaders have to recognize that these are human beings who need to have a good life. Only a good life will give you longevity. Only a good life will, make sure that they're, happier, that they stay with you. Now, both have to come together. When they come together, then work-life balance disappears because then you don't complain. Work-life balance is being discussed because there are complaints. Complaints are happening because of this issue.
Overall, the discussion is around the productivity. That productivity is low. We have to improve the productivity. So, in manufacturing sectors, how we can improve the productivity, Manisha? Because this is the core discussion, core area of discussion. How we can improve the productivity for the development of nation.
In manufacturing now, so the scenario is that we are moving away from the traditional workways of operations and focusing on using techniques which will actually bring about better productivity. And that is where now you have digitalization going on. We are ourselves running a project on digital factory and spending a huge sum on that. Our machines have already moved to industrial Internet of Things, IIoT, and artificial intelligence and machine learning. Something that we used to do in the past in 14 months, 16 months, we are doing it in less than a month now.
Right.
And started earlier using a concept of doubling the speed, we have actually multiplied our speed. And there are already futuristic efforts that we are trying to do with the best of the Indian institutes to have talent and understanding about what is coming up further and working jointly towards research and development on that so that we can bring about changes such that with the same workforce, we are producing more and delivering more, and we are delivering to the customers on time, first time right, best quality. In fact, I was yesterday only at IIT Kharagpur, and we were talking to them on these lines and trying to source talent which is customized to our requirements.
Kiran, we
trying
have
to do a joint
last 1
program.
minute. So, would you like to conclude this about the productivity? We have last 1 minute here.
That should be the debate. We must debate actively. Every company should kind of focus on how do we get more productivity in the workplace, and largely my, kind of thing is focus on the human. 47% of people's time is spent in their heads. Okay, which means that if you can just learn to turn that around, 20% improvement in productivity, 20% improvement in profitability is on the table. Okay, yeah. 47% of time is in their heads. That is how much time is getting kind of wasted. Let's reduce that. If we can do that, I think we can certainly move from where we are to a better place, and that I think should be where we want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to focus on the productivity part. Thank you so much, Sriram and Mr. Manish Kaur, for joining the conversation and sharing wonderful thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Manish.